5 hair colors that secretly age you after 60, and 3 that bring you back to life. Are you sure the hair color you're wearing right now is actually making you look better? Or has it quietly been aging you one day at a time? Have you ever looked into the mirror and felt like something just doesn't feel right? Have you ever caught someone's eyes flick past you as if they didn't really see you anymore? If that hit a little too close to home, this video is for you. And if you're someone who's been quietly craving to reconnect with yourself, not just through your hairstyle, but through how seen and vibrant you feel at this stage of life, I invite you to stay. Maybe even hit that subscribe button. Because here we don't just talk about hair, we talk about presence, about being visible again, in your 60s and beyond. If this resonates with you, leave me a 1 in the comments. And if it doesn't quite land, that's okay too. Drop a yo. Your honesty helps me understand you better. Now, let's go back to that mirror. Have you ever looked into it and thought, this is still me, but something's off? It's not the wrinkles, not the silver strands, not your age. It's the way your hair, once radiant and full of light, no longer reflects the same warmth that still lives behind your eyes. You probably assumed, well, I'm just getting older. But the truth is, sometimes it's not age. Sometimes it's just the color. That quiet detail that seems harmless, but has slowly been washing you out, dulling your energy, and making you disappear. Today I'll walk you through 5 hair colors that are surprisingly common, yet silently make women over 60 look more tired, more distant, and less themselves. And after that, we'll look at 3 gentle glowing shades that bring softness, light, and visibility back to your face. Not to look young, but to look fully present. 1. Jet black. When your hair silences your face. I just want to keep it the same, black like always. Sound familiar? It's a sentiment many women share. Because jet black hair has been part of your identity for decades. It's tied to memories, youth, tradition, and maybe even a sense of cultural grace and discipline. But then, something shifts. The hair color stays the same, but somehow your face doesn't feel like it belongs to it anymore. The eyes don't hold people the way they used to. And in a quick snapshot, you recognize yourself. And yet somehow, you don't. Here's why. After 60, our skin tone naturally shifts. It gets lighter, thinner, and more delicate. Jet black hair, with its deep, bold contrast, becomes almost like a spotlight. And instead of supporting you, it starts exposing everything. Crow's feet, dark circles, under-eye puffiness, and thinning spots along the scalp. Picture this. You're wearing a sleek, body-hugging black dress. It's beautiful, but the fabric is tight, smooth, shiny, and your skin, no longer taut, can't quite match it. The dress isn't flattering anymore. It's demanding. That's exactly what jet black hair can do. In our younger years, it brought out our eyes, our skin's evenness, our sharp features. But after 60, that same richness can overshadow your expression. Instead of drawing attention to your smile or the softness in your eyes, it pulls every glance toward your hair and away from you. Even with makeup, especially with makeup, jet black can make your foundation look heavier, your features sharper, and your face a bit harder. You won't feel old, but others might unconsciously sense you're trying too hard to hold on to something. That's the moment when your hair stops being your companion and starts working against the relaxed, confident woman you've grown into. Ever notice how many older women with jet black hair end up tying it back tightly, applying heavy makeup, or wearing bright colors to balance things out? They're not trying to be bold, they're trying not to disappear underneath all that black. But the harder you try to compensate, the more you look like you're in a fight with your own reflection. So maybe the real question isn't, should I dye it something else? But rather, is this color still helping me feel like me? Pause here. Breathe. Look again. Are you still coloring your hair out of habit? Or because it actually makes you feel comfortable, like yourself, in this moment of life? If your answer is a little uncertain, maybe, just maybe, jet black is no longer the color that reflects the woman you've become. This is not a push to give up black. It's a gentle nudge to explore what might happen if your hair stopped speaking so loudly, so your face could be heard again. Because maybe there's a shade out there, not wildly different, not drastic, that lifts your face, brightens your eyes, and lets people see you again. Up next, I'll show you some alternatives, colors that still feel rich, grounded, and you, but without the harshness. Shades that guide attention back where it belongs, to your presence, to your warmth, to that quiet wisdom you now carry in your eyes. Stay with me. What comes next might just change the conversation you've been having with your mirror. 2. Platinum blonde, when bright turns into washed out. You know what? If I'm going to cover the grays, I might as well go light. Really light. It's a common thought, and an understandable one. When gray hairs start to multiply, many women reach for bright, icy tones to blend the silver and buy a little peace of mind. Platinum blonde, with its high-impact shimmer, modern flair, and effortless cool, seems like the perfect solution. No more touch-ups, no harsh regrowths, and you might even feel more youthful again. Until one day, something shifts. You look in the mirror and your face is still yours, but suddenly, you look faded, washed out, as if a thin veil has come between you and the light. Here's the hidden truth. Platinum blonde is a very cool-toned, high-lift color. It leans almost white, and after 60, your skin tone also begins to lighten. It can become paler, more translucent, and often a bit uneven or dull in tone. So when your hair color and skin tone start to match, your features disappear. There's no contrast, no warmth, no visual anchor. Your hair no longer reflects light. It dissolves into it, and your face goes with it. Imagine placing a soft ivory silk scarf against a pure white wall. It may be beautiful, but what do you see? Nothing, no lines, no depth, no story. That's what platinum blonde does to many women past 60. It flattens the light. It cools everything down. The warmth in your smile, muted. The spark in your eyes, dimmed. And oddly enough, the more you try to fix it with makeup, the more it pushes back. You find yourself needing a darker foundation, a rosier blush, a bolder lip, just to bring life back into your reflection. And that's when the question must be asked, even if it's hard. Are you choosing this color to embrace yourself or to escape the silver? Platinum blonde isn't wrong, but if you look in the mirror and feel like you're only halfway there, like a canvas that hasn't been fully painted, maybe it's not right for you anymore. Because beauty isn't in brightness. Beauty is in being seen, clearly, gently, and truthfully. Many women who've tried platinum post-60 share the same quiet realization. This doesn't tell my story. It feels like playing a role, like performing a version of someone younger, louder, but far less grounded. Instead of feeling effortless, you start feeling like you're trying to stand out, trying to stay visible, trying not to disappear. And the more you try, the more your eyes look tired. The more your smile feels tight. The less you feel connected to the woman looking back at you. So the real question isn't, should I go lighter? It's, is there a shade that's light enough to brighten me without washing me away? The answer is yes. And in just a moment, I'll show you exactly what that shade looks like. It still belongs to the light family, but instead of stripping your face of dimension, it softens your features, warms your glow, and brings your natural grace forward. Stick with me, because what comes next might just make you fall in love with selfies again. 3. Fire engine red. When bold starts to feel like a burden. I don't want to fade away. I want people to still see me after 60. It's a beautiful desire, and a powerful one. After a lifetime of giving, serving, and stepping aside, why shouldn't you want to stand out? Red has long been the color of boldness, passion, confidence, and self-expression. And fire engine red? That's a declaration. It says, I'm still here. I'm still me. But some declarations, when too loud, can begin to feel like shouting. And instead of feeling seen, you start feeling exhausted. Not because red is bad, but because fire red is demanding. It requires flawless skin, perfect lighting, a full face of makeup, and an energy in your eyes that matches the vibrancy of your hair. And if any one of those pieces is missing, suddenly you look in the mirror or glance at a candid photo and you barely recognize yourself. Your face looks like it's trying to shine, but all you see is the strain. The red pulls up everything, rosacea, freckles, broken capillaries. Nothing hides, everything stands out. Whether you want it to or not. One woman once whispered through tears, "I thought red would make me feel alive. But all I feel is like I'm trying to look alive." Have you ever felt that? Each time you leave the house, it feels like a performance. You tell yourself, "I'm fine. I'm fabulous. I'm fierce." But the longer you stare into your own eyes, the more you realize something frightening. That bold, bright stare isn't you anymore. Fire engine red doesn't forgive. It doesn't allow for softness. For off days, for mornings without mascara, or evenings where you just want to be quiet. Red keeps screaming, even when your spirit needs a whisper. And, worst of all, it makes people misread you. They see the color, not the woman. They don't hear your calm voice, your dry wit, your lifetime of wisdom. They just see someone trying too hard. So maybe the real question isn't, should I wear red? It's, is there a red that lets me glow without having to perform? The answer, yes. And I'll show you that next. There is a shade of red, warmer, deeper, more grounded, that holds space for your boldness without draining your energy. It draws people in gently. It holds their gaze. And more importantly, it lets you feel at peace in your skin. Wait for it. Because this isn't just a hair color. It may be the return of a version of you that's been waiting patiently to come back. 4. Deep purple. When bold turns into a shadow. I don't want to fade away. I don't want to go quiet. I still want to be seen, like I was when I was younger. It's more than a wish. It's a declaration. A declaration from a woman who's lived, who still holds energy and edge in her heart, even if she no longer needs to prove anything to anyone. Among all the colors a woman might choose to express that spirit, deep purple often feels like the boldest badge of individuality. It whispers rebellion. It sings of artistry. It declares, "I'm not afraid to stand apart." But standing apart doesn't always mean standing in the light, especially after 60. That's when your skin softens, loses the warmth it once held, when the sun hits your cheekbones not to highlight, but to reveal a cool, fading undertone. And suddenly, purple doesn't feel expressive anymore. It feels heavy. You might have seen it in a photo. You were hoping for radiance, a punch of personality under the golden hour sun. But instead, your face slipped away. The purple hovered over your forehead. It blanketed your eyes. And that warm gaze you've carried for decades dimmed. There were no highlights. No shape, no signature. Just a quiet silhouette. Tinted violet. One woman once left a comment that stopped me cold. She said, I looked at myself in the picture, and I wasn't there. I didn't age, I just disappeared. That moment, that heartbreak, doesn't come from hair dye. It comes from a deeper ache, from choosing a color that doesn't reflect who you are, but who you used to be. And that's when it's time to pause, not to reverse, but to ask, is this color honoring the light inside me or smothering it? Deep purple isn't bad, but it's a dominant shade. It steals the light from your skin. It buries your expressions. It chills the warmth in your smile. And perhaps the saddest part, it leaves no room for softness. Every time you wear it, you're putting on a voice that once belonged to someone else. Someone bolder, someone sharper, but maybe not someone gentler. Not someone with fine strands and softened eyes and a beauty no longer made of edge, but of essence. Have you ever felt that disconnect? A hairstyle that looks stunning on someone else, but when you try it on yourself, you lose the very thing you were trying to preserve, your presence. So the question isn't, can I pull off purple? It's, is there a version of bold that doesn't drown out my light? The answer is yes. In the next section, I'll walk you into a softer space, where color still speaks up, but in a voice that feels like yours. Where your hair doesn't shout, "Look at me," and yet somehow, people do. They pause, they notice, and they remember you. Because after 60, you don't need to be loud to be seen. You just need the right tone, one that says, "I'm still here, still me, and I've never been more complete." 5. Neon greens, loud oranges, and out there colors, when personality overtakes presence. After 60, I don't want to shrink anymore. I want to try the things I never dared. I want to be fully myself. It's a powerful idea, and one that's growing. That's why we're seeing more women over 60 rocking emerald hair, fiery orange tips, or vivid neon streaks. Colors once considered off-limits for older women, now waved proudly like a flag of freedom. But the problem isn't the color itself, it's context, it's energy, it's harmony, something that gets overlooked the moment we sit in a salon chair with a bold idea and a brave heart. Here's the honest truth nobody tells you. Yes, a neon shade might grab attention, but sometimes it grabs so hard it pulls you out of your own image. You've seen it. You catch your reflection with bright green hair, bold and fun, but somehow your eyes look heavier. Your teeth appear more yellow. Your skin feels drained of warmth. You did your makeup. You dressed with care. You smiled, but the overall look, it just didn't fit. It didn't feel whole. Here's why. These high-energy shades carry the visual vocabulary of youth. They require taut skin, radiant eyes, and defined lines to mirror that punchy, youthful spirit. But when layered onto a face shaped by time, laughter, grief, and growth, they don't just color your hair. They challenge your balance. One woman told me with a laugh and a hint of sadness, "I looked like a glow stick in a meditation class." Funny. Yes, but also kind of true. Color doesn't just speak in visuals. It speaks in tone, in emotion. It sends a signal before you even open your mouth. A neon green bob might make people turn their heads, but will they see you? An electric orange buzz cut might feel exciting for a while, but does it invite warmth or just curiosity? Ask yourself, do you want attention or connection? Do you want gasps or smiles? Do you want someone to say, "Wow, that hair," or quietly think, "She seems so easy to be around"? We're often told, be yourself, but the truth is you are many selves, and not every version belongs in every season of life. This isn't about playing it safe. It's about being true. True to who you are right now. You can absolutely explore, but know this, when your hair speaks too loudly, your spirit gets silenced. I once met a woman, 64 years old, who chopped her hair into a pixie and dyed it soft orange. She thought it would feel rebellious, freeing, but a few weeks later she whispered, "People stare, but no one smiles. I don't feel seen, just observed." A beautiful hair color isn't one that shocks people into noticing. It's one that makes them feel something gentle when they look at you. So if you're standing on the edge between wanting to be seen and afraid of being misread, what comes next may be your answer. Because there's a world of color that isn't dull, isn't muted, isn't boring, but also doesn't scream. It's like candlelight at dusk, warm, soft, and inviting. In the next chapter, I'll share 3 hair colors that don't make you new. They simply help you feel at home again. Because after all, beauty after 60 doesn't come from being different. It comes from choosing a shade that reflects not your past, but the quiet glow in your eyes right now. 3 hair colors that bring back the glow for women over 60. 1. Warm chestnut brown. When the sunlight comes home again, some shades don't need to be loud to light up a room. And for hair over 60, warm chestnut brown is one of those quiet miracles. You may have heard this advice before. Don't go too dark. Don't bleach it too bright. Find something in between, something that lets you breathe again. But how do you know what in between even means? Sometimes the answer arrives in silence. One afternoon, you touch your old hair color and feel nothing. You don't hate it, but you don't love it either. You just don't see yourself in it anymore. That's when warm chestnut brown feels like sunlight slowly crossing a forgotten room. Not blinding, not demanding. Just warm enough. Just kind enough to remind you you've grown a little cold. And maybe you're ready to come back to softness. This shade holds a subtle kind of magic. It doesn't hide the gray. It makes peace with it. Warm chestnut brown creates a gentle canvas. It cradles the silver rather than covering it up. You can still see the sparkle of gray in the light, but it's framed now, balanced by the warmth of roasted hazelnut. It doesn't whisper, "I'm hiding my age." It says, I've lived long enough to know I don't have to. Have you noticed something? What often makes women over 60 look strained isn't age. It's color contrast. When the hair is too dark or too icy, the skin, already more delicate, looks washed out or tired. But chestnut brown, it reflects light in a way that brings life back. Skin looks warmer. Eyes feel softer. Hair appears fuller, without you having to do anything. I once watched two women nearly the same age. One wore jet black hair, sleek, sharp, controlled. The other had warm chestnut brown, sprinkled with silver strands, falling gently along her cheeks. Guess who people gravitated toward? Not the younger-looking one, the warmer one. Because the truth is this: age doesn't make you invisible, but the wrong hair color can. Warm chestnut isn't boring. It's wise. It understands what your skin needs now. It knows how deep your eyes once were and how softly they shine today. It knows you're no longer chasing attention, but craving harmony. Here's the emotional peak. You don't need to stand out when you're already strong enough to make people feel at ease around you. And the right hair color? It helps you do just that. Have you ever noticed how some women walk into a room without much makeup, without flashy clothes, and yet everyone turns? Not because they're loud, because they're grounded, calm, warm. Warm chestnut brown is like a cashmere wrap, not to show off, but to remind you that you're still soft, still feminine, and you don't need to give that up to age gracefully. If you're looking for a hair color that won't make you look fake young, but instead makes you look healthy, approachable, and whole, take this one to your stylist. Show them a picture and say, I want to look like autumn sunlight, warm, gentle, and impossible to ignore. Because beauty after 60 isn't about surprising people. It's about making them want to stay a while. 2. Soft caramel, gentle, not faded. Some shades don't shout. They whisper. And sometimes that's all you need. Soft caramel isn't a head-turning color in the traditional sense. It won't make people gasp when you walk into a room, but it will make them look again, and they won't even know why. There's just something about you. Something warm. Something real. Most women don't choose this color on their first try. They've usually been through the extremes, inky black for safety, icy platinum for reinvention, before realizing, they don't need to fight time. They just want to walk with it more gently. Caramel, when it settles into your hair, feels like a golden drop of honey at sunset. It doesn't overpower anything, but somehow it makes everything else, your skin, your eyes, your smile, a little easier to see. A little softer, a little more you. Why do so many experts recommend this tone for women over 60? Because it's smart with light. It reflects just enough to blur grays at the root. It creates the illusion of thickness without teasing or curling. And most importantly, caramel doesn't clash with your natural skin tone. It moves with you, not against you. One woman once told me that after switching from dark brown to caramel, she stood in front of the mirror and, for the first time in years, didn't adjust the lighting, didn't tilt her face, didn't try to find a better angle. She just smiled. You might be wondering, if it's that good, why don't more women try it? Because caramel isn't for drastic change. It's for those wise enough to realize you don't need to look younger. You just need to look, well. Caramel doesn't scream, I'm trying. It murmurs, I've made peace with myself. And for women over 60, that's not just style. That's grace. Picture this: soft caramel hair with a few hand-painted highlights near the temples and crown where sunlight naturally kisses first. You turn your head and the tones shift from honey to amber to warm gold. No hot tools, no heavy makeup, just movement, softness, glow. Ask yourself this: are you trying to look beautiful, or have you forgotten what it feels like to see beauty in yourself? Here's the emotional truth: the right color doesn't stress you out when roots grow in. It gives you permission to let them fade gently. That's a kind of freedom many women thought they'd lost. And that freedom doesn't come from rebellion. It comes from kind choices, like a shade that lifts your tone, supports your glow, and doesn't demand attention. It just earns it. Soft caramel is for the woman who doesn't want to become someone else. She just wants to come home to a softer, more graceful version of herself. If you're stuck between going all in or doing nothing at all, try caramel. Not to become new, but to bring back the light on your terms. Because beauty isn't about transformation. It's about finally smiling at your reflection and meaning it. 3. Soft honey balayage, when the light gently finds its way back. Sometimes the most powerful changes don't come from a bold decision, but from a quiet detail. Something small, something soft, something that makes you breathe easier, smile slower, and feel beautiful in a way that has nothing to do with age. Soft honey balayage is exactly that. It doesn't scream. It doesn't fight for attention. But somehow, it makes your whole face feel brighter, warmer, softer. It smooths the lines time may have etched, not by hiding them, but by lighting them with kindness. If jet black hair once made you feel heavy, withdrawn, if platinum once washed your glow away, if fiery red once made you feel like you had to perform radiance every single day, then soft honey balayage will feel like coming home. The gentle hand-painted highlights around your temples, your hairline, and the ends of your layers don't just brighten your features. They create the illusion that your face is glowing from within, like you've just stepped out of a space where there was sunlight, a breeze, a quiet kind of peace behind your eyes. Many women have said, "I don't know if it's the hair color, but ever since I tried honey balayage, my face just feels softer. I don't need makeup. I don't need to angle my photos anymore. I just smile, and that's enough." And maybe that's why this shade has quietly become a favorite for women who've embraced simple living after 60. You don't need to color your whole head. You don't need frequent touch-ups. As your hair grows, the honey blends into the natural base, as if it was always meant to be there. But perhaps the most beautiful part is what happens when you step into the light. Most people won't even notice it consciously, but you will. You'll pass a mirror or catch your reflection in a window, and instead of just seeing hair, you'll see yourself. Smiling, gently, almost surprised by how easy it feels to see your own softness again. That's why so many return to this color. Not because they want to change drastically, but because they want to bring the light back, quietly, after years of thinking that light had gone for good. And somewhere along that journey, you might ask yourself, do I need to make myself stand out? Or do I just need to step out of the shadow I've been hiding in? That is the emotional high point of this shade. Because after 60, many women have been taught to do something to feel visible, to prove we still exist. But what matters more than standing out is feeling alive. Not loud, just full, just enough. Honey balayage doesn't put you at the center of attention. It places you at the center of your own presence. You stop asking, how do others see me? You start wondering, how do I feel when I see myself? And if your answer is peaceful, then maybe you've finally come to the right place. Choosing soft honey balayage is not a rebellion against time. It's a quiet walk beside it. No rush, no resistance, no more need to prove anything. Just picture this. You're sitting by a sunlit window. Golden hour filters through the leaves, and the strands near your temples catch the light, not sharply, but gently. Someone walks past and pauses, not because you're glowing, but because you feel like a place where light rests. That's the kind of beauty that lasts. Because real beauty after 60 doesn't come from thick foundation or dramatic cuts. It comes from the soft confidence of someone who knows that stillness can be luminous. Honey balayage becomes your invisible accessory, not to impress, but to remind yourself you are still so beautiful when you feel at ease. Smooth connection to what's next. If honey balayage is how light reflects gently around you, then the next shade? It's not about glowing out loud, but quietly drawing every eye in without even trying. Because hair isn't just what you tie up every morning. It's how you tell your story. Every strand, every shade. A pause in the long, beautiful music called you. You don't choose a color just to look good. You choose it to be seen, truthfully, softly, fully. Not to prove anything, but to return to the version of yourself you forgot was still waiting for you. If any part of this story touched something in you, leave a comment. Or send it to a woman you love. She might be waiting too, for the same quiet invitation to begin again. And if you're not quite ready, just save this video. Because one day you'll remember, you don't need to look younger. You just need to look like yourself today. Elegance is not about being noticed. It's about being remembered. Giorgio Armani.